I do this every week. Somebody's going to have to stand at the door and say, microphone, like a little kid. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to CSL Boise here in beautiful, beautiful, sunny, slightly cold Boise, Idaho. We are delighted to welcome you this morning to our Facebook Live program. And those of you who are here in the sanctuary with us, safely distancing, wearing your masks, doing all of the things that are required to keep us all safe, to keep us all healthy as we are moving into this home stretch. Yes, we're very excited, and excited to welcome you here this morning. You've already heard the amazing sounds of our musical guest artist, Miss Becky Blake, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, what a remarkable, remarkable woman, and we are delighted to have her backed up by the amazing CSL House Band under the direction of Mr. Rex Miller. This morning, holding the beat, of course, is our Phil Bowden, and Ted McClure keeping the low tones on that bass. We are so honored to have such amazing musicians in the Center for Spiritual Living. Just absolutely delighted. This morning, back on technology, we have Cheryl Houdon because she can never take a Sunday off, ever. Yes, and we have Donna Sheedy, of course, holding all of you together on this Facebook Live, doing all those magical things, those magical magician things, so that people can join us on Facebook Live. So let's just take a moment now. Take a moment to prepare ourselves for our Sunday service of inspiration and joy and celebration of life. As the sun came up early this morning in my meditations, I was filled with such joy. Overwhelming joy for no reason at all, except that another day has dawned. God has given us another day to grow, to change, to be, and most of all, a day for us to be grateful for our healthy bodies, for our strong lungs. Let's just take a deep cleansing breath into our strong lungs. Say, thank you, God. Take another deep breath. As we prepare for our spiritual practices by our beloved Donna Sheedy.
It is my honor to introduce Holly Bostic, who will light the world religion candles from the Christ candle. In religious science, we perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people in all faiths come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. In lighting these candles, we honor the one family of humanity, made up of over 4,000 religions and spiritual traditions throughout the world. We light the first candle for Judaism. The Hebrew shalom literally means peace, but also means completeness, wholeness, health, perfection, prosperity, and harmony. We light the candle for the spirit of shalom. We light the second candle for Hinduism. Gandhi defined the Hindu creed simply as the search after truth through nonviolent means. We light this candle for peace and unconditional love. We light the third candle in honor of the Native American religions. From the Cherokee it is written, "O Great Spirit, help me always to speak the truth quietly, to listen with an open mind when others speak, and to remember the peace that may be found in silence." We light the fourth candle for the Baha'i Faith, which teaches A thought of hatred is destroyed by a stronger thought of love. The fifth and final candle honors New Thought, which teaches, as we grow in consciousness, our oneness with God, we experience peace, which calms the troubled waters of our experience. Let us quiet our minds and open our hearts to the spiritual message being sung by Becky Blake.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live the life that's real and pure and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I'm more grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks on my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am kinder every moment, every day, and I'm more loving every moment, every day. I will surrender every moment, every day.
Please join me in prayer. As we sit here on this beautiful Sunday morning, holding this sacred space, recognizing our source, our supply, the one and only Creator, that wonderful, loving Spirit, which I call God, that surrounds us and is within us and is everywhere present. And I know that that Spirit which made all that is resides deeply within me. It is moving through me and manifesting as me in divine perfection. And what I know for myself, I know for each and every person hearing this prayer, that they are all connected. We are all one through the one mind of God. And so from this place of unity, I bless this service today and each and every person taking part in it, wherever you are, whatever you've done. I bless every single one. And a special blessing for Reverend Jackie Holland as she brings forth a message that we are meant to hear this very morning. And I'm so thankful as I release my word into the law, knowing it is done. Namaste. Om. Aho. Amen. And so it is.
Please welcome Miss Becky Blake.
And causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort and you're being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. And may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. And may the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break, but here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without. I want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. I want you to have it all. May you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet. May you keep the chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress, having no possessions from immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May your educated guesses always be correct. And may you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you only reach from each moment to the next. And may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Hello. And may the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the heart that you're gonna break, but here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. And here's to the fact that I'd be sad without. I want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. I want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all you can imagine. Oh, no matter what your path is, if you can believe it, then anything can happen. Oh, go, go, raise your glasses. Go, 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 you can have
And we have it all when we have Miss Becky Blake in the church. Yes. Yes, thank you, thank you. Don't you just want to just get up and dance to that song? I was in the corner. Good morning. Good morning, my beloveds. So last week, lots of calls on my talk last week about Grandpa's slippers. Last week we talked about how Grandpa didn't want to let go of his slippers, and that's how life is. That so often we don't want to let go of, would you bring tissue? That so often we don't want to let go of things. And so all week long I've been thinking, thank you so much, I've been thinking about this idea a lot, about this idea of letting things go, and that sometimes, though, sometimes, these masks just make your nose run. Sometimes. I've been thinking a lot about how sometimes, yeah, we do have to let things go, but once in a while, we just have to let things lie where they are. We have to just let them be where they are. We kind of have to live in it. We have to stew in it. We have to think about it. That some things have to stay where they are for the time being. Maybe forever. Maybe. Sometimes, instead of letting something go, maybe we just have to accept it. We have to accept it as it is, warts and all. I've been thinking a lot about mistakes, and I made a couple this morning, and I'm not going to point them out to you. But if you look close enough, you might be able to see them. But here's the thing. I've been thinking about mistakes. A lot of you know that I used to live down in Los Angeles in Hollywood, and so many of my friends were in the industry. And I used to love to go and watch them, being recorded and so forth when we could get on the set. And they would always go that, take one, take two, you know. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, yeah. Anyway, and so sometimes it wouldn't work at all. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. A mistake. A mistake. Listen, the word sin, the word mistake in religious science is also a synonym for sin. When people say, do you people in religious science believe in sin? We say yes. We believe that the word sin, based on its Greek background, says that it means missing the mark or mistake. That sin is a mistake. It's a mistake. Because, I grew up in this Southern Baptist church, and so now all I can do when anybody says you're a sinner is shrug my shoulders and say, yes, I am a sinner. Because that word means mistake. And I make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. Because when we make mistakes, it means we're alive. It means we're trying. It means we're living. It means we're expressing. It means we're not afraid to try something. Most of my life growing up in an alcoholic environment where if you made a mistake, you were punished for it, it took me years to be okay with mistakes. Then I went to a religious science church in Glendale, California, my very first religious science church, and I heard this minister say this. He said, when you make a mistake, paint it red. Everybody's already seen it. And here we are trying to figure out ways to hide the mistakes we make. Oh, let me just cover it up. Let me just cover it up. So there's no need to get upset anymore when anybody calls you a sinner. You can just say, yeah, I am. Yeah, I make mistakes. Big deal. I'm not perfect. And when we accept that we're not perfect and that we make mistakes, then we can accept that we don't have to spend so much energy trying to come off as perfect. We don't have to spend so much emotional and spiritual energy in trying to pretend that we're something that we're not. We can say, I am a person who makes mistakes because I'm alive. I'm alive. Look, we're all just trying our best. We're just trying our best, bumping into things, making mistakes, making messes that have to be cleaned up. But sometimes we just have to let it be. We just have to let it be. This whole talk started with a song that I heard recently by David Walker. He tells a story of the woman who's doing some painting in her kitchen. She bumps into a small table, and then in that unbelievable way, in that amazing, unbelievable slow motion way. You know what I'm talking about? She sees that the paint is falling off. It hits the floor and the jar shatters. Paint spray hits the wall, the floor, it goes everywhere. This mass of bright blue glossy enamel spreads across the floor. Now, I would have said a lot of things in that moment, but according to the song, she says, "Good God." I might have said a lot of different things. Look, we've all had that experience, haven't we? Maybe it wasn't spilled paint, but maybe it was sitting down at a table, sitting down on a chair in somebody's house, not realizing that it was an antique chair and it breaks under you. Maybe it's knocking over a display at Tuesday morning with your cart. Maybe it was the time that I remember as a young 22-year-old bride making my first dinner for my in-laws and deciding I was going to do something fancy. That was a mistake. Look, bell-bottoms were a mistake. Tony Perms were a mistake. And licking that ice cube tray was a big mistake. Those of you too young to remember metal ice cube trays, I'm just saying, that was a big mistake. Have you ever worked for hours on a project on your computer and somehow instead of saving it, you hit delete? I bet you said something more than "good God," didn't you? Or maybe you've hit the send button before you meant to. I have a friend, if you read the e-blast, you know that I told you the story that I have a friend here in Boise, many of you know him, I'm just saying, who was sending a group email to his coworkers and his friends, and he said some rather unkind, uncomplimentary things about his boss. And in the same email, he said that he was going to pretend to be sick so that he could go home early, so that he could go to Sun Valley and go skiing. He hit send just as he realized that his boss was on that email list. Now that was a mistake. Yeah, he's still looking for a new job, I'm just going to say. Anybody here not have a story about a monumental screw-up? I mean, really. We were going to have some pictures. I had captured some pictures, but without Maria here today, we can't do it. But I'm just going to read some that were funny to me, starting with Steve Harvey announcing the wrong winner of the Miss Universe in 2015. Do y'all remember that? Woo, he incorrectly crowned Miss Columbia as Miss Universe, discovered minutes later that it was supposed to be Miss Philippines. That might have been a big mistake for him. Ford, quite frankly, has made a lot of mistakes, but the biggest one they made was the Edsel. Edsel, is that how you said it? Edsel. Now, I don't want to say any, it had a toilet seat it had a grill that resembled a toilet seat, they said. But the biggest mistake was made, and many of you know this, was Pinto. Learning from the mistakes they made with the Edsel, or so they thought, the Pinto was their first attempt at a compact. Unfortunately, Pinto means tiny male anatomy part in Portuguese. Use your imagination. That's not a particularly strong selling point, at least in Portugal, right? It took 177 years to build the Tower of Pisa. It only took 10 years for it to start leaning. They might have thought that was a mistake. Oh, I love this mistake. Dell Records turned down the Beatles because they said they weren't good enough. Oh, this is even more a better one. NASA accidentally taped over the moon landing. In fact, there are no known original recordings of that event. Therefore, conspiracy theories abound. 12 book publishers rejected Harry Potter because the story wasn't good enough for them. And on and on and on. There were some really, really cute photographs, like the car that was half filled up with snow, and the headline said, "Got to close your window last night, huh?" All I'm saying is, we make mistakes as humans, we make mistakes as corporations, we make mistakes in our life. Isn't that the way it is? So let's get back to this woman in the kitchen. Let's get back to her. This story comes, as I said, from a song written by singer-songwriter David Wilcox, and I'm loving him. I'm loving his music so much. And Ted is going to tell you the story.
When the paint jar tipped off of the table, you watched as it started to fall. Glass popped, shattered and splattered, and paint spray hit the wall. Bright blue, glossy enamel across the kitchen floor. You said, "Good God." I looked at that pattern and seen nothing like it before. Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine. We just leave it like it is. It's fine. Now when the paint dried, we gave it a title. We called it Kitchen Blue. A white frame painted around it, gallery lighting too. Rich folks come over to dinner, they all want one of their own. They say, how much? Who's the artist? My, what a beautiful home. Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine. We just leave it like it is. It's fine. Most folks suffer in sorrow. They think they're just no good. Don't match the magazine model, not close as they think they should. Live just like paint by numbers, the teacher would be impressed. Lifetime of following lines, so it's just like all the rest. Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine, just leave it like it is. It's fine. We just leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine, we just leave it like it is. It's fine.
Ah! She looked down at the mess on the floor. She looked down at the mess on the floor and she said, "Good God!" Now, if it had been me, it had been followed by a lot of other things, but she said, "Good God, look at that pattern. I've never seen that before." And then she lets the paint stay on the floor. When it's dry, she painted a white frame around it. She installs gallery lighting above it, and she gave it a name, Kitchen Blue. And as you heard in the song, when the rich folks came over for dinner, and they all wanted one of their own, they said, "How much will it cost us? Who's the artist? Who did this?" My, what a beautiful house. Her choice was to leave it like it is.
Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine, we just leave it like it is. It's fine.
Sometimes in life there are some messes. We just got to leave it like it is. Leave it like it is. It's fine. And you and me and everybody else, including the Pinto, is just fine. It's just fine. Our mistakes, our messes, our failures, they're all part of being human. We don't have to try to be perfect all the time, people. We don't have to try to hide our mistakes. Turpentine, have you ever used it? I looked turpentine up because I wasn't sure. Here's what I know about turpentine. It stinks, it smells, it's horrifying. But here's something else. It's poisonous. It's used to mix paints and varnishes, and if you swallow it, you can die from it. And so it seems to me that this metaphorical, if you will, turpentine, metaphorically speaking, this metaphorical turpentine can be poisonous to creativity. It could be poisonous to expanding. It can be poisonous to the things that we are trying to create because we're so afraid of making a mistake. We're so afraid that we're wrong. Life without a mistake means life without any experimentation. That emotional, psychological turpentine that we try to clean up our messes can be poisonous to our spiritual growth, my friends. None of us got here by being perfect. Yes, you were birthed perfect. The moment you came on planet Earth, you were perfect, and you are spiritually perfect right now. But we are spiritual beings walking around in a human experience which includes mistakes. We can try to clean them up. We can try to hide them. We can try to erase them. Or sometimes we can just let them lie. Leave it like it is. It's just fine. There's even a top 10 list. Actually, it was a top 15, but I didn't like 5 of them, so never mind. top 10 list that psychologists say are the mistakes in life that you got to let lie. You're not going to change it. You're not going to hide it. You're not going to make it any different. And here it is. You want to hear? Do you want to hear what they are? Here they are. You got to let this lie. You just got to let it be. Places you never went to, especially this year, right? Money you wasted. You're not going to get it back. Let it lie. Time you wasted. Friends you hurt. You've done what you can do. If you've done what you can do. If you've done what you can do. Friendships that you've lost. We all know about that. No matter what we've done to make it better, it just doesn't change. And so sometimes you just got to let it lie. You got to let it be. It's another way of saying let it lie. Love you lost. Opportunities you missed. Family discord. Incomplete education. I know a lot of people deal with that. I didn't finish. I didn't do this. Leave it alone. Let it be. Let it be. And the number one, are you ready for the number one? The number one mistake that you have just got to let it lie. Paint a frame around it. Leave it alone. Parenting mistakes. Now, I'm not a parent of a two-legged individual walking around, but I've made a lot of four-legged children mistakes, parenting mistakes in my life. You just got to let it lie. That's just what therapists are telling you to do. I'm not telling you, guys, that there isn't room for improvement. Obviously, I believe that we have to spiritually grow. Obviously, I believe that we have to learn from our mistakes. Obviously, I believe that I don't necessarily believe in the concept of mistake as most people think of it, because I think that mistakes are simply that, an opportunity to take another take, to have another opportunity, another way of moving through something. There's a quote that my grandmother used to say, and she used to say, God loves you, but I changed it. It's life loves you just the way you are and loves you too much to let you stay that way. God loves us just the way we are, born perfect in its image and likeness. And yet God loves us too much to let us stay. That's why this whole idea of never making a mistake is ridiculous, because life is change. And as long as you are not living a static, unchanging life, we will make errors. You don't like that word mistake, errors. There are some messes, some mistakes, some sins, if you want to call them that need to be addressed, and that do call for mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological, social, and legal turpentine. Of course there are things that need that require that. Things like misogyny. Misogyny is not fine. And this mess of misogyny needs to be cleaned up by men everywhere. We women can't clean it up for you. No. Racism, terrorism, ageism, sexism, prejudice, and on and on and on. Those are messes that require the turpentine of social or legal or justice or psychological or whatever it requires for you to clean those messes up. The minute we understand that the actions that we have taken are hurting somebody else, that's the call to bring in that metaphorical turpentine and to clean up the mess. But some messes just have to lie. Let's look at that song again for just a minute. The woman doesn't just notice the spill and decide not to get all upset about it. No, she highlights it. She framed it. She put a light on it. She painted it red, although it was blue. You know what I'm saying, metaphor painting it red. And when people came over, they looked at it. Her mistake was a work of art. Listen to Ted sing this about keeping up appearances.
Now most folks who suffer in sorrow, thinking they're just no good, who don't match the magazine model as close as they think they should, live just like paint by numbers, the teacher would be impressed. A lifetime of following lines, so it's just like all the rest. Leave it like it is. just leave it like it is. It's fine.
In this verse, he talks about how people suffer quietly, thinking they're no good. Because all we've been taught from the time we came on planet Earth was to paint inside the lines. Don't make waves. Don't be different. You want to look like that model. You want to impress your teacher. You want to follow everybody. Keeping up appearances is a slippery and a very dangerous slope. This song tells us something so important, that keeping up appearances is a fool's game. It's a fool's game. Why? Because you can never keep up appearances. In the moment that you're keeping up appearances, you're losing your authenticity. You're losing the idea of who you are. The moment you think you can't make a mistake because you got to be like everybody else, you've lost that authentic self, that spirit that God imbued in us the moment that we were both birthed. But so many of us do try to keep up appearances. We do. We just have to, because we want to be like everybody else. And I admit to you that this has been one of my greatest growth challenges. I want to be accepted. I want you to like me. And yet, aren't the things that we love the most about other people is their unique quality that makes them different? Makes them different. It's especially important for us humans when we're in conflict or when we're in disagreement. So often we will find that we remain silent because we don't want anybody not to like us. So when we're in disagreement or we're in conflict, we're thinking about our appearances. How do I look in this situation? That's what's important to us. Very rarely, for most of us, do we consider the other person that we're in conflict. What about their appearances? How can we help them as well? So when we're in conflict, we play this game of keeping up appearances, of being right, or of being superior, of having the last word, or manipulating the facts to fit what we believe or what we want it to say or what we want it to do. What about the game of appearances that I'm so good at that says, I cannot acknowledge that I'm afraid or I'm in pain or I'm hurt or I'm disappointed because I've got this keeping up appearances called tough girl, strong woman. I don't know if you can identify with that, but I guarantee you that most of us keep up appearances. Now, I think about this artist. She had her friends coming over. She loved her home. One of the things she reached for was the turpentine to keep up the appearances of her perfectly groomed, perfectly painted home. But she stopped when she looked down and she said, oh my God, I've never seen that design before. Wow. What would it be if every person we met, we said, oh my God, I've never seen God's design before as I'm seeing it in you. The game of appearance has kept us from honest, clear, intimate dialogue with each other for far too long, far too long. We're afraid to admit we've made a mistake because it makes us feel smaller than or different than. And I've been asking myself, how can we change this? How can we change this way of being? What would it look like to admit our mistakes and leave them where they are? Just, I've made a mistake. I regret this mistake, and just leave it. Leave it. Or maybe even paint it red in the hopes that it'll help you, myself, and others see the first step to changing ourselves and the situation, the mistake. Thich Nhat Hanh, an amazing, amazing spiritual mystic, poet, teacher, author, Buddhist. He's amazing. In one of his books, he talks about this a great deal. He talks about interpersonal conflicts and how we try to keep up our appearances in a conflict, as if being right somehow makes us better. And he talks about how monks how they teach it in one of the Vietnamese monasteries that he ran. When a monk feels hurt by something that another monk said or did, the two come together and they sit in chairs close to each other, side by side, facing each other. And the rest, very close to each other. And the rest of the monks in the monastery sit around them as witnesses, not taking sides, not thinking about it, but just bearing witness to what's going on. Then the monks that were involved in the conflict begin to speak. One speaks and says something like this, focusing on what each of them, themselves, me, did wrong. One might say, the other day I intruded on your meditation. And the other one might reply, when you tapped at me on the shoulder, I shouted at you rather than asking you what you needed. The first one then could go on and say something like, I should have apologized for the interruption, but instead I started to insult the strength of your practice. And it continues. One says, I did this. The other says, I did this. And they go on, alternating back and forth until the entire incident has been described from their perspective, with each person focusing on their faults, their, I don't want to use that word fault, I want to say their participation in the situation. They don't hide that something terrible happened, that something bad happened, that something negative. They don't hide it. They don't try to say, well, it wasn't that bad, it's okay. No, but they don't make it any worse than it was, and they focus on themselves. They don't hide the hurt, the blame. They don't hide their shamed feelings. But the one thing that they do not do is blame the other person. Now, those monks could begin by accusing each other, right? They could have said, you really bothered me. You interrupted me. They could have told their side of the story to show what the other person did wrong. And that's how our culture teaches us, to make the other person wrong. In conflicts, to highlight, to come out swinging, to be negative, to shine a spotlight on the other person instead of on our own. And what we know is that doesn't work. It's never worked, and it never will work. This aggressive posture, which is really all about defensiveness. It's all about defensiveness. It's all about being afraid. And as Brene Brown would tell you, it really is about being ashamed. Being ashamed of our participation in what has gone on. The master teacher Jesus said, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in the other person's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own? In religious science, we teach that first, in order for us to effect a healing anywhere, we must come from a balanced, centered, responsible place where we have to recognize our role, what we have done. Not a mistake, but an opportunity to grow. And perhaps it was a mistake. I want you to think about the last argument that you had with your loved one. The hurt in their eyes. Think about their posture. Think about their pain. I'm guilty of this. Beating the point down to my husband to where he couldn't hear anymore. What would it have been if I could have known to say this was my role, this was my part? So the song and virtually every real spiritual tradition that I know of tells us that we don't have to get entangled in this paralyzing worry of what other people are going to think about us. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, said, listen, you are the only person that you will ever know intimately. You are the only person that you will ever know intimately. Nobody else is going to know you at the same level that you know. So you don't need to be worried about mistakes and how other people are going to take them. All we need to ask ourselves is, am I doing the best I can in this moment? We don't need to try to hide our mistakes, our flaws, once we've seen them. The truth is that we have to be willing to show them to others if we ever want to have an opportunity, a real chance, the possibility of addressing them and changing them and correcting them. And that's on our personal level. That's on our individual level. That same truth holds for our government, holds for our elected leaders. It holds for our officials. If we don't call it out, if we don't address it, if we don't speak it in a loving, productive way, nothing has a chance of changing. So yes, it's a mistake to take away the governor's executive powers. And we need to speak to that. That's my personal, Jackie Holland, personal private opinion. We can't stay quiet and silent when a mistake that can affect so many hundreds of thousands of people is being made. We have to lovingly speak out, lovingly. And here's what we know in religious science. God makes no mistakes. God makes no mistakes. God only allows us, using our free will, to make choices. It takes courage to buck the system. It takes courage to take the risk to stand out, to be who we are, mistakes and all, instead of being what the world wants us to be. It takes a great deal of introspection to march to the beat of a different drummer, as Thoreau said. At the deepest level of us, we really know that when we stand out, like that nail that sticks up, somebody's going to try to hammer us down. We understand that. But this idea of openly acknowledging our faults, of paying more attention to them than to the faults and failings that we see in other people, to keep ourselves clean on our side of the street, as the 12-step program tells us, well, that will make us stick out in a world that's asking us to stay the same. Yeah, it will make us stick out. But being who we are, making mistakes, openly acknowledging that we're not perfect, and that with all our foibles, say that 5 times, with all our follies, daring to publicly name our growing edges, as we like to call them here in this philosophy, is the key to living a rich life, a full life, not only for yourself, but for our entire world. So leave it like it is.
Like it is. Never mind the turpentine, just leave it like it is. It's fine. Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine, just leave it like it is. It's fine.
Woo. And so it is. Ted McClurg, ladies and gentlemen. Please turn to someone in the sanctuary and let them know how glad you are that they are with you today. And those of you at home, just look right here into my eyes and know that I am holding you. I am delighted to be able to bear witness to you joining us today and knowing that really none of us have any faults. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Let's just take a moment. Let's just take a moment. In life, we are called on to leave it like it is sometimes. Today, for those of you who may not have received the news about our beloved, we're going to put Florence's photograph up, our beloved Florence Erickson, who made her transition. She got her wings last week. She was our elder mother in this church. She came every Sunday that she could with her daughters. And she sat right there in the middle of this church and smiled. I often wondered, can she hear me? But always she could. And always a kind word, not just for me, but for anyone who stopped and spoke to her. Florence, we will miss you. Our hearts mourn at the human loss. But we are so happy that you have your wings and that you are not in any pain now, and that you are smiling in your celestial body. Thank you. Thank you. Let us just turn with them. There is within all of us the power and the presence and the love that is the great Creator. Not outside of us, but breathes as us, expresses itself through us. We are the hands, the heart, and the voice of God on planet Earth. For Spirit, in a moment of self-love, created all sentient beings, all that is seen and unseen, universes yet unknown, all created in an act of love. And when we consciously are aware of our union with this creative power, we recognize that all things are possible. All things are possible. Pandemics have no power. Dis-ease, lack and limitation do not exist in the power and the presence and the love of God. And so this morning, we absolutely acknowledge our oneness with this great Creator, called by so many different names, followed by so many different paths. In the end, we know it is God. It is love. It is life. It is you and me and all people. And so this morning, from this place of union and oneness, the word is spoken for so many people who have requested prayer of our prayer ministry. We are holding our beloved Mickey Vogt in our prayers right now as she is awaiting surgery on her broken leg, waiting for the swelling to go down. We just see all is perfect, the revealing of the perfection that is Mickey's life right now. We bless our beloved Stephanie as well as she continues to wait for her surgery, knowing that her body temple is growing stronger and stronger every day. Judy Davis is requesting prayer for her surgery on Wednesday, for shoulder surgery, and we know that all is well with our beloved Judy. Anne continues to heal. Ann Hendricks continues to heal at home following her surgery. For this, we are so delighted. And we give thanks for that. I speak a special word this morning for Lisa Michelle. Lisa, God is expressing in your body temple right now strength. Strength is yours, my dear sister. Surrender to the love that is God. Let it carry you now. All is well. I especially hold my brother-in-law, General Philip Kinsinger, and my sister Greta in our prayers as they released Daddy Kinsinger this week to COVID. And we bless his 98 years of life on planet Earth. A giant tree has fallen, and for that we mourn. We give thanks for the healing of so many people right now in our country and around our world, and we bless our frontline men and women that are taking care of us. And we bless this vaccine, and we bless all people that love enough to take care of each other. For this and so much more, we are deeply grateful. The sun is shining. The day is dawning in joy and love. And we let it be so now. And so it is. Amen. 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 Take a deep cleansing breath. We are just holding everyone and just add them into our circle. I want to remind you that our practitioners, many who are on the Facebook Live with you right now, are waiting you to call them. Their numbers are there in the Facebook Live feed, or for those of you who are watching this later, you can go to cslboise.org and you can get the list of our practitioners and their phone numbers, or you can email prayers@cslboise.org, and we, our practitioner and prayer team, will pray for you for as long as you want to receive prayers. But our practitioners are waiting to pray with you right now. You can just pick up the phone and call one of those practitioners, and they'll answer and pray with you, whatever is going on. And I love to say that if everything is great in your life, that might be the time, Practitioner Joe, to call and say, I'll take more of this. I'll take more of this, God. More and more and better and better. And speaking of more and better and good, Rex Miller and Pamela DeMarsh are at 365. When? Monday night, 5 to 8? Oh, 6 to 8. They're at 360 at the Riverside in that bar that's outside in the open air, the open ceilings, and they have a lot of safety measures in place there. So tomorrow night, what? Yeah, the front lobby. What did I say? No, I don't mean open air. No, that's outside. It's too cold. Come on. Sorry, my brain doesn't always work so well after prayer. Here's the thing. I'll start again. Rex Miller and Pamela DeMarsh are at the Riverside at 365 tomorrow night, 6 to 8. You can go and have a glass of wine and have some food. They do practice very good social distancing and safety at the 365. I'm not so fond of the rest of where they do, but that's at the 365. So please support our musicians. Lisa Biddick is in the house with us as a congregant. And Lisa, you're somewhere that I can announce in this week? Okay, go to lisabittick.com. Go to lisabittick.com and you can see where she's going. Becky, you guys anywhere? Okay, February 16th at the Sapphire Room. So we also have Blazin' Kelly at the Sapphire Room. So you guys who feel safe to go there, listen, that is, just go to our cslboise.org, look at our e-blast, kind of go near, not at the bottom, but, scroll down, and you will see the photographs of our musicians. Click on it, and it will take you to them. And then you can see, if they have their websites up to date, you can see what our musicians are doing, and you can help support them. And I just want to say how deeply, deeply grateful we are to all of you for your support of the CSL Boise. Not just supporting the CSL Boise. When you give your money, and this is so deeply grateful to all of you. This is the giving this week in the mail. And I want to say how grateful we are for this. That you're not just giving to the CSL Boise. You're not just giving to salaries and heat, but you're giving to each other. Look around this room. When you make a donation to the CSL Boise, you're giving to JJ, and you're giving to Ev and to Mary, and you're giving to so many people who are in this room. That's who you're giving to. You're giving to keep our spiritual community alive, awake, and active. We're giving to each other. We're participating in the law of circulation. Well, I guess, and cause and effect, but participating in the law of circulation by giving to your spiritual home. I hope that's here. But if it's not, that's okay. Participate in the law of circulation because it's for you. Not for us, it's for you. And so, just on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the congregation and all of us here, those of you who are on Facebook Live, look at the feed. That's who you're giving to. Many, many ways to give. You can give through bill pay at your bank. Right now, again, on the feed, individual, you can see the many different ways, texting and all kinds of ways that you can give. I make it easy for myself, and I give tithe once a month from my bill pay. I don't have to remember to do it because I'm busy, as so many of us are. I have a great deal of joy in knowing that it comes, and it does come to the bank, to the church in the form of a check, so I have a great deal of joy in knowing that that happens. But there's other ways to do it too, and you young people know all about that stuff, so y'all can do it any way you want. I just, once again, say thank you for your support and for all that you do, not just with your finances, but with your consciousness of support and love and prayer. Hold us as we begin slowly to look at how we can reopen. We are open now, as you know, very limited numbers. We are looking at moving forward, listening to the science and the experts to tell us and to guide us what to do. Please, those of you who have called and said about the mask restriction being lifted, we will not be lifting the mask restriction at the church for a long time. We will not be doing it. So don't call anymore. We're not going to do it. I know you want me to, but the Board of Trustees and I, and the leadership of this church, including Rex Miller as one of our leaders, has made the decision to keep us all safe. So I thank you. I thank you all for your love of each other. And thank you for joining us on Facebook Live. Thank you for your contributions. Let's just take our gift, our offering in our hands. Come on up, Miss Becky, you're up. And let's just know God is in money, God is in life, God is in the giving. We say thank you. Infinite Spirit, we bless the gift and the giver. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, Becky Blake. Yeah.
Do not wait for until some deed of greatness you may do. Do not wait to shed your light afar. But to the many duties ever near you now be true. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. 'Cause someone far from home may need a guiding star. Right in the corner where you are. Just above our clouded skies that you may help to cling. Don't let selfishness your way debar. Though into one heart alone may fall your song of cheer. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. 'Cause someone far from home may need a guiding star. Right in the corner where you are. Rex Miller! Here for all your talents you may surely find a need.
please stand and receive your blessing? Yes. Go forth on this beautiful, beautiful day, and through this next week, just carry that love out into the world, that love that is you, and have a blessed week.
Amen.